First image, not all that exciting, but has been in the news a lot lately. Anybody know where this is?
Let's see.
Is it Chile?
It is. It is the San Jose mine in Chile. That's the mine they pulled them out of yesterday, and they promised they're closing that mine forever, so from what I heard.
Oh, really?
What else? Perhaps you can help me with this, Cameron. Located in the Atacama Desert, what else is this region of the world known for?
How many eggs are
In
inside?
terms, well, yes, copper, but what else is it known for in terms of perhaps meteorology or climate?
Dave, say that again.
It's
What did you?
the Atacama Desert. What else is it known for in terms of?
It's the driest place on Earth.
It is the driest place on Earth.
I heard that last night.
It is indeed the driest place on Earth, so I thought it served a dual purpose. Sticking with what's...
that was a good thing for the miners too.
Oh, it was wonderful.
If it had been in a wet environment,
It would have been much...
Yeah, the drilling would have been impossible.
Right. Yeah. So it's nothing short of amazing that they were all
It
saved.
was amazing.
Okay, second, I have another image for you here. This image has also been in the news recently. Anybody know what might be going on here?
Is that the
It is the toxic sludge in Hungary. Actually, the dam that was breached is right back here, and you can see how it flooded out across the landscape and then downstream and flooded into this town. This is where I think 6 people died and hundreds were hospitalized from it. And they're concerned that the dam, they've shorted it up, but they're concerned it may collapse again and create the same problem again. Part of it ended up downstream in the Danube. They promised that it was not dangerous by that point, so let's hope they are right about that. But it did, it was toxic, and it did give some pretty significant burns to people who were in the initial flood. Thank you. Here's something else up your alley, Cameron. Clouds. The South Sandwich Islands. And I'm not going to make anybody guess why this is occurring, but it's actually a rather bizarre, because ships will often generate clouds as they move across the ocean, but these are stationary islands. What's happening here is that the warm and humid marine layer at the surface, as it hits the island, the rough surface of the island is causing a wave pattern, and in the crest of that wave, it condenses and creates clouds. Then as it moves down again, it evaporates. And so it gives you almost like a zebra stripe pattern of clouds on the downwind side of the island. So I thought that was a pretty interesting image. Okay, well, this is Earth Science Week. So we are talking about the Earth. One thing I wanted to, this didn't turn out nearly as spectacular as it looked on screen, but up here in this particular image, this is a view of the Earth from Mercury. The messenger probe at Mercury, they recently turned it back to get a view of what the Earth and its moon look like from way out. So I thought it was an interesting shot considering it's Earth Science Day and Earth Science Week, excuse me. And Earth Science's theme this year is all about energy. Of course, we know we use a lot of energy, and this particular shot, have it upside down, this particular shot, anybody know what we're looking at? I know it's kind of far away.
Los Angeles?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Very good, very good. It's
Oh, yeah,
Chicago.
I
You
could
can
have
see the
thought
lake
that.
here and see it fanning out away from there. Chicago lit up at night, but every American city looks like this. We use an awful lot of energy. The question is where we're getting that energy from, and that's all what Earth Science Week is about this year. Okay, first image. Some of you guys may have seen this on the wall in the department. This is an image of the unfortunate outcome of one of the main sources of energy. In some cases, this was the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig accident this summer, and you can see the oil as red here. You can also see chemical dispersant that they've sprayed on it, but the chemicals make a very distinctive pattern on the water as well. And at this point, they were putting booms around it and were trying to do controlled burning off, which of course is a very dirty process. But as we all know, it was an extreme calamity. Slide.
Is that a satellite image?
It is a satellite image, and that was acquired about a week. They didn't have the rigs on site to drill the secondary wells yet and shut it off, so they weren't yet working on it. Those were just skimming ships at the time. Okay. Another big source of energy for us big traditional source is coal. The use of coal leads to some rather negative impacts on the landscape as well. Here we have West Virginia in 1984 and in 2009. This is the mountaintop removal coal mining process, and this is an extremely large area that they've removed. You can see there's not just one mine, but there are actually satellite mines up here as well. And what they tend to do is just chop off the entire top of the mountain, remove it, take the coal out, and then put the materials back. They are supposed to revegetate it and restore it in some way. Oftentimes they do revegetate the top, but what you've basically got left is a flat plain where you used to have a very hilly area, and oftentimes it will contaminate the streams downstream from it, etc. So it can create some real problems. But it's interesting to look at these processes over time in satellite imagery as well. Okay, we do have cleaner sources of energy that we use, and one of the older ones, one that's been with us for a while, is hydroelectricity. Anybody know where this is? Hoover Dam, yes, indeed. Hoover Dam and Lake Mead, right outside of Las Vegas. And Hoover Dam has been with us, of course, for some time. And hydroelectricity does definitely provide a clean source of electricity, but of course it's very location specific, and not every portion of the United States has ample sources of hydroelectricity. I would also like to point out on here, though it's turned out hard to see in here, but you may see that the sides of the canyon around Lake Mead are very white and chalky looking. That's actually from the high water mark of Lake Mead in the 1980s. Lake Mead has about half the volume it had in the 1980s today. It's dropped so far due to a prolonged drought. And they're worried that if the drought continues a couple more years, they may have to actually stop creating power at Hoover Dam. There won't be enough water to run through the dam anymore to actually create power. So it's a serious problem. Geothermal energy. This is the only shot of a geothermal plant I could come up with on short notice. But geothermal energy is also very useful to us. It's again very location specific, but it uses the heat underground, stored underground, underneath the earth. You usually pump water down, it's turned into steam, powers some sort of motor as it comes back up. Okay, those are more traditional sources of green energy, if you will. Of course, there are other green energy sites out there, and more all the time. One of the biggest growing trends in America is energy from the wind. This is a wind farm. This is actually an older one out near Palm Springs in California in the Mojave Desert. The wind farms, America has now become the largest wind energy generator in the world. We just displaced forget which European, it may have been Germany, last year. But we have been installing an incredible base of wind generation equipment, and you can get a lot of energy from the wind. Again, one of the problems is it's in the wrong places. For instance, it's estimated North Dakota could provide about half, North Dakota alone could provide about half of all the energy needs for the United States from wind energy. Unfortunately, it's all in North Dakota, where 0.03% of the population lives. So there's a mismatch there between where the energy is and where you need to get it. Finally, our last source of energy I'm going to highlight today, solar power. This is one of the world's largest facilities. It's outside Seville in Spain. It's a 20 megawatt generating capacity power plant, but these are fascinating to look at from satellite imagery, to look at from the air. In this case, this is a concentrated solar reactor where mirrors are concentrating on a certain point and projecting all the energy there to warm a boiler. Of course, you guys have probably seen other sorts of solar photovoltaic cells as well. Those work on a smaller basis, but they're also installing, at the moment, there's a huge one of these that an electricity company in California is installing out in the desert, either California or Nevada. It's going to actually dwarf this one and be much, much larger. And the U.S., also good news, the U.S. surpassed Spain last year to become the world's largest producer of solar power as well. So there has been a shift, and we're moving towards greener technologies as time goes on. Anyway, that's a look at a few of the our energy sources and earth science processes from space. So thank you guys for putting up with that. I appreciate it. Copper, but what else is it known for in terms of perhaps meteorology or climate?
Dave, say that again.
It's
What did you?
the Atacama Desert. What else is it known for in terms of?
It's the driest place on Earth.
It is the driest place on
I heard
Earth.
that last night.
It is indeed the driest place on Earth, so I thought it served a dual purpose. Sticking with.
Is it Chile?
It is. It is. It is the San Jose mine in Chile. That's the mine they pulled them out of yesterday, and they promised they're closing that mine forever, so from what I heard.
Oh, really?
What else? Perhaps you can help me with this, Cameron. Located in the Atacama Desert, what else is this region of the world
Guess
known
how many
for?
eggs are
In
inside?
terms, well, yes, we know what might be going on here.
Is that the-
It is the toxic sludge in Hungary. Actually, the dam that was breached is right back here, and you can see how it flooded out across the landscape and then downstream and flooded into this town. This is where I think 6 people died and hundreds were hospitalized from it. And they're concerned that first image, not all that exciting, but has been in the news a lot lately. Anybody know where this is?
Let's see. You know, that was a good thing for the miners too.
Oh, it was wonderful.
If it had been in a wet environment,
It would have been much.
Yeah, the drilling would have been impossible.
Right. Yeah. So it's nothing short of amazing that they were all
It
saved.
was amazing.
Okay, second, I have another image for you here. This image has also been in the news recently. Anybody